Okay. Now let's go to the actual page that I want to do. Then we hit F11. Let's go. Alrighty, let's get to it. What's happening, fellas? It's your boy Hardcorn, and we're back today with some more action time, and you know you got all the good stuff in here. Today we're going to be doing tier lists over the VR game mode. A very contentious subject, and one that's going to be pretty interesting to say the least. So, but first of all, let's get something straight. I don't have all the answers. I never will. This is mostly based off my experiences and also some other high-level testimony to, what is it? This is also based off of my experiences and other high-level testimony from other players as well. They have other answers based on the builds they go for, and I have stuff that works for me. There's no truly right answer in VR, which actually makes it a quite good game mode. However, some problems do show themselves because of it. But let's get started on trying to tier out who's going to be the best of the best for a best. Who's going to be the best of a bad situation? Yeah, let's put it that way. Let me actually make sure shit's on there. Yep. Okay. Alright. So we're going to start off with Mass Taimanin. Mass Taimanin is the human boss. She's the human boss counterpart for this part of the game. She has about many high damage, devastating attacks. She's very fast. She can spawn her own enemies. And those clones actually are extremely bulky, so you need to be actually you need some way to disable them, and you need some way to just keep the pressure on her for the most part. Mass Taimanin is also extremely vulnerable to every single debuff in the game. She doesn't have anything that's modifies them. You get the full duration regardless. It's why the Sue strat works so well. But more or less, hello everybody. How you doing there, Raptor and Timaverse? I hope you guys have been playing VR and had a good Thanksgiving. My Thanksgiving gift to all of you guys was that new video regarding VR basics. Because we're on a kick about that. I've made my research and now it's time to put it to the test. So, but yes, let's see. I'm Mass Taiminin. She's extremely debuff vulnerable. She's extremely fast. You need to slow her down. She has 2 phases to her fight. First phase is where she has the her code of critical defense on. You don't crit. You don't have any crit damage on the first half of the fight. It's very low, and your critical rate is reduced. And then the second half of the fight, she removes her coat. She now takes more critical damage, and your critical rate is, I think, increased. Either way, it's still a really tough fight. Because you need to make sure you've got it all under control, or else you're gonna get your ass handed to you. More or less, let's start off with the top of the line, the best of the best. Who's gonna be up there in the best of times, and certainly the worst of times in VR? First of all, we all know this answer was coming. It's gonna be Murasaki. Murasaki is traditionally very strong in all of the game's content. You go to the arena, you go to the tower, you go to VR, you go to regular missions. This lady can literally do anything. You want Murasaki specifically because she gives defense down, she has a strong heal on herself, she has area clearing capabilities, crowd control, a defense down, 2 huge slows. In fact, if you actually don't have the Sue supporter that lets you, the Halloween Sue supporter that lets you extend debuffs, there's a age-old strategy where you just use Murasaki's tentacle anchor, and you just keep chaining it back and forth over and over to make sure that Mass Taimanin never moves. It's a very strong strategy, albeit a bit risky. Yeah, you like it when AI control characters run straight into Mass Taimanin and she has to cleave that one-shots? Oh yeah, I love it when as soon as the mission starts, Mass Taiminin has a 50-50 on whether or not she's going to taunt or do double slash. And if I lose the coin flip at the beginning, 2 of my characters die. I love it. It's really, really dangerous and stupid. You need to instantly disable Mash Taimanin as soon as the fight starts in any capacity, because you're just going to take a shitload of damage. And Murasaki's really great at that because she has a Devil Bringer, and she also has a hard slow. So it's like that's why she's the best. And she's probably not going to get knocked down in any capacity until we'll see how Spinel turns out when she appears, because she's already started. If she shapes up to look like just Murasaki too, I won't mind that. Murasaki needs competition in the first place, at least in her category. Next up for the S ranks, we have Felicia. Love this little lady so much. She's a little sassy, bratty vampire girl. But Felicia brings a hell of a lot of really good stuff to the table. Felicia is the only person, as of now, who can give group healing through a debuff. This means you don't have to set down a field like you do with Aina or Emily. Aina or Emily, they have field healing. Shizuru does too, wherever she is. There she is. They all have field heals where they have to be inside the field itself. Felicia's blood marks are a debuff, which can be extended by the Sue supporter. And it allows any character at any distance to heal for a percentage of the damage done. It's such an insanely strong debuff because it, one, counts as a debuff, it lets her use Reaper's Wings ability extremely well, and then we have the fact that it gives healing in the first place. It's Felicia's second method of healing besides green Reaper's Scythe. It's the one where it's like there's the dash and slash command. That's in green main. But the fact that like you just put Felicia on your team, build her defensively or with high HP background, and she'll be able to tank most things and also deal strong DPS as well because she can just keep doing it. Because she will always keep dealing debuffs. Like you do a 2 blue 1 green supporter setup, and it allows you to have all the best of Evil Strange and also the Scythe Throw attack that delivers a slow. She's really good on like the Spider Boss because she has such high crowd control ability, and also for really just about any sort of content, machines, demons, humans, you name it. She can slow, she can heal, she can help everybody. In fact, you can just effectively just run these two together in your third, and you'll be fine for the most part. Next is Shisui. Shisui's a bit of a newcomer to this, but she's already proved her point effectively on the first day to show off just how strong she is. Shisui is... I mean, I've said it before and I'll say it again. She's extremely strong, but she's super boring. She's designed inherently to be a tank character. Like, she will sit there and just eat hits all day because she has so many forms of defense up. She has really, really high defense innately. I think it's almost the same as Kiara's. And she also just deals a shitload of damage on attacks because she's strictly melee. Shisui herself attacks very slowly, but Guardian Shisui will cast a skill, and also Guardian will cast a skill. So that means whenever Shisui makes an attack, Guardian will as well. And Guardian will home in on the enemy, and Shisui can actually just hang back for the most part and do nothing. It keeps her very safe because Guardian itself is an invincible entity. So it doesn't matter whatever happens. Like, you go over there on the demon mission, and she'll just have Guardian run up straight up to it and just blow him up. She just deals tons and tons of damage. You want all the familiar damage you can get. I mean, if you effectively bought her supporter in, like, what is it, a few months, like previously she had a supporter package that came out that raised her familiar damage as a weapon and familiar damage on the supporter. So it effectively doubled her damage output and also added a suction effect for AoE clearing. Like, she's really, really good at demons. She's really good at Demon Week for sure. Like, I take her on Demon Week even though I don't have the weapon itself to make the modified skill. But it still works really well regardless. I'm going to turn the music down. As much as I love the Executioner, it's really loud. Alright. But that's enough out of Shisui. She's just very good. Let's see. Who's the person I see traditionally there very a lot? Oh, this is for Mass Taimanin in the first place. Let's think about that. But yes, you can effectively put all three of these together and they will AFK farm. Emily, of course, gets the same spot as well. She has very good treatment. She stays away from Mass Taimanin, and Mass Taimanin has to chase her the entire time. Emily can heal herself. She has a field healing, but she doesn't get very many opportunities to do so with it because of, well, what happens to her in there. She's very slow, but she's also one of the most consistent characters in the entire game. You leave her alone, you just stack damage. You don't have to control her. You are not worried about Emily. She will be just fine. I'd almost put her in A because she does S tier damage more or less at every single point. The machines though, she probably sits up. She'd sit there in S as well. Let's see. I'm gonna put Astaroth in there too. Because Astaroth, like right there we go. Astaroth has also another character that's traditionally extremely strong. Even before she got her renewal update to where she had her targeting system fixed, had all of her had her windups sped up, changed the visual stuff on there, and also gave her that new weapon that broke her and that breaks everything in half. She's been very strong there. And now she has... Traditionally, I like to run her in blue because it's just full-on assault. But she kind of gets rough later on to play because she doesn't have very many defensive capabilities. If you're not dealing damage with Astaroth, it's just going to be over really soon. Alright. Now let's go over to A. This is traditionally where characters either like start to falter, not falter very much, but they're going to be really strong. Well, I know Rin's good. I just don't want to put her there. Let's see. Alright, let's start off with Oboro. Oboro is actually surprisingly very good against Mass Taimanin because Oboro has on one, she has a very hard slow, and she has another set of slows she can apply as well from range. It makes her very versatile in the fight itself. She's a bit wonky to use, obviously, because it is Oboro. She still needs her update, and she's had a rough life in the game, but she finds home in Mass Taimanin in this very specific one-on-one fight. And she does a pretty good job at it. I can't complain there. And with other people who actually have severe investment in Oboro, they got Oboro syndrome. She does very well for the most part. Sadly, she cannot heal herself, but if you partner her with Felicia or something like that, all of her multi-hit attacks will go absolutely nuts. And also, since that Mass Taimanin in like Phase 2 has critical damage resistance reduced? No, she takes more damage from critical hits in the second phase. Oboro likes to crit. Give her the chance to crit and she'll be able to just keep herself topped up for the most part. However, it is VR, and the hard reduction that is built inherently to every floor increase just falls off pretty hard. So like after floor 30, she's just going to be a debuff bot. Alright, next is Sora. Sora is really good for just about every single part of VR. She's a little slow though, and she has some long cooldowns. Like you just use her in blue and you effectively just forget about her. I mostly like her to use her for like use the white feather Asuka supporter and 2 more blue supporters, because all Sora has to do is just get off her arrow rain skill and then just remove armor. That's all I need her to do, and she's very, very good at it. Like she's never once failed me in that regard. She's also pretty durable too, because she just get blue investment, and then she's got a long and strong healing skill. It allows her to attack from a distance. It allows her to keep her distance too, which is super, super important. You do not want any of your ranged characters in the vicinity of Mass Taimanin, because they're gonna get like double slashed and just blow up. Which is why you want ranged melee partners. Which is a similar situation to Aina over here. Aina also brings a field healing. Aina's field heal itself is kind of annoying because it's pretty small, so it's like she's a ranged character but effectively plays at melee range. So you need to partner her with your other melee character or something like that. Like you're gonna put her with Felicia or with Murasaki, or you put her with someone who takes a lot of damage and is really fast. So you put her like Felicia. You put her with Emily. You put her with Asagi or Kurenai or Nagi or Rin. Anyone that really likes to get in close and has to stay close. They need all the healing they can get. However, since Mass Taimanin moves around a lot, field healing is somewhat reduced. But if you can paralyze her in a sense of like reducing speed by a whole lot or breaking armor concurrently, Aina really moves mountains with hers, because just about every color with Aina is really, really like solid. Even with blue, it's like a little iffy at the most, but like in red, it actually like really shines. Even green Aina, which actually falls off a little on criticals, because green Aina is just all about criticals and moving quickly and skill spam. It still works. Let's see. Like specifically because of phase 2, Aina can sit here at A because of her healing, and because she actually has a chance to crit so much. We'll put Sakura in the A section as well. Nah, we'll put her there. We'll take her off on that one. We'll save her for later, because there's something with Sakura I wanted to get to on that. All right, let's see. Rin is here because she's just specifically straight up damage. Like that's all she does. She doesn't really bring much to the table besides hitting really hard, because that's effectively everything else everyone uses her for. You just leave her alone and just make her a DPS tool. I'd almost put her at B, because that's all you take her for in every single one of these missions, is just damage. Let's see. And Shizuru's actually really, really nice in VR. I wouldn't put her at S because she has certain pitfalls like long cooldown skills, long recovery, and her basic attack string is using the whip, and it makes her take forever to do anything. Which is why you usually have to run her with like 4 racial defensives for 60% damage reduction, so she actually survives most attacks. Because she is prone to getting bled from enemy attacks, taking damage all day, but she has a field healing. With her limited weapon, you can actually buff the entire team. She has a lot of defensive stuff behind her. She's designed to be like a tanky character. Well, not so much a tanky character, a very solid all-around debuffer, which is a nice compliment to Felicia. And then you have like, and even then you can put him like with a debuff for, like this one's for healing, this one's to keep the team up, this one's to bring the enemy down. That's essentially how I'd put it. Because I use both Felicia and Suzuru concurrently for defense and keeping the team strong at high floors. Let's see. Oh, and that's another thing. All the AI for these characters right here are like these. Let's see. Astaroth keeps her distance. So does Emily, and so does Sora. Like these three right there are very good at it. Since Aina has to be so close, her AI will actually put her much closer than she needs to be. But since she is ranged, she'll keep her distance. Alongside with Oboro being extremely fast, she gets out of most situations because of her speed. And her basic attack string is so quick that she's actually able to get the whole thing off. And Sora, and like, this actually hurts Rin and Chizuru a lot, because when their skills aren't up, they have to use that. And Rin has a very slow startup, and the whole entire string for Chizuru takes like 7 seconds to complete. It's not 7 seconds. It's just a really long time. Like, Rin starts slow and gets faster. Chizuru just starts off slow and stays that way. But in terms of debuffing potential, like, she sits in A. Just for that alone. Alright. Let's see. Let's put, ooh, let's get the rest of the team. We'll skip around. Let's start off with Anrose on this. What Anrose in B? Anrose is the combination of 4 characters. She's supposed to be what? Kurenai, Asagi, Murasaki, and I think Ingrid. She does 4 things at once and does not do all of them very well. Anrose, though, has a lot of healing and crowd control, so she's actually able to keep herself very durable. I'll be honest, I don't use her a whole lot, and I more or less don't have a lot of true experience or testimony from other people behind her. But even in the time that I've used her, I'll just stick her to... I can just keep her to B. It's not exactly the best. It's a middle of the pack situation. This is also the same thing with Asagi. Asagi is, let me put it this way. She is horrendously strong in VR. However, you need the perfect situation to make her work. Like, I only use Naraku with her, because if I play Asagi myself, I can get maximum stacks and keep them that way, and Asagi is like my single highest damage dealing character in VR. She sits up there with like Murasaki and Astaroth. However, you have to get 50 stacks, or you need to maintain really high stacks of Naraku to make her worthwhile. And if you can't do that, what does Asagi have outside of it? Well, she has the classic Kojinka, which is actually really good for mass Taimanin. It's if you don't have a lot of like crowd control ability or stunning stuff, getting Kojinka chains with Asagi is still viable. It's like when you fight in the tower with Asagi, it's Kojinka chaining. And you go into VR, it's the same thing. It's a really strong skill, and it does not change even 4 years later. But time has passed, and so has Asagi. I still like her a lot, though, because even if you can just stack a whole bunch of damage with Asagi due to being like, she has the second highest stat total in the game, next to Nagi. So that means she can effectively tank just about anything, and she's super durable. She has a simple, straightforward basic attack, so when you're waiting for her skills to come back up, whether that's because she got hit or she's used the skills, she's not just dead in the water because she has to wait 5 seconds to swing out, to make one swing, like good old Murasaki, but it's like old Murasaki before she got super armor, Rin with her first strike, Chizuru over here, and then like Rinko with like the first couple of strikes being super slow. Middle of the pack, but that's okay. She's got great potential, but middling ability. Oh yeah, Asagi can also heal. She relies on critting to heal, and guess what you can't do very well in VR is crit. So mass Taimanin, where she can actually have some ability to crit is worthwhile in the most part. I like that. All right. Who do I want next? Oh, here's Asuka. Asuka's a straight damage dealing character. She has many multi-hit attacks, which you can use the White Feather Asuka supporter to, you know, bolster that. But if, well, Asuka can't heal herself, but she has very, very high damage potential because she can play from ranged and keep herself mostly safe. It's the thing with Asuka that's always been true for the most part. If you aren't going to be destroying your enemies within the moments of them spawning in, Asuka falls apart really quickly. That's the long and the short of it. She needs partnership with someone like a B tier like her needs an S ranker to really bolster her up, because she needs it. She would love Murasaki to get off Tentacle Mine, and also to have Felicia's blood marks on too, so she can go in there with Rending Storm, have it possibly activate twice if you got Clearwing Blade, and have him nuke the enemy. If she can't do that, she's kind of relegated to like debuffing, and she can't really do that very well either. She doesn't have very good options with that. Alright. I gotta sneeze. Ooh, let's see. Eleanor. Where would I put Eleanor? Because when I think about Eleanor, when I've used her like for, you know, testing out and experimenting, I like her in VR because in red she really likes having the she gets really good usage out of the White Feather Asuka supporter, because Eleanor is like the master of multi-hit attacks. Like if I drop at least 2 of her skills, I know I'm going to break that armor because I'm going to hit the proc. However, that's like when I use Eleanor though. When the AI uses Eleanor, they use the skills improperly, and I don't exactly accomplish what I want to out of it. It's annoying to say the least, but I can deal with it. Because let me bring this up over here, because I have it somewhere. There it is. Because I'm gonna go read through Eleanor's stuff on my side of the screen. Like if you're not using red Eleanor, you've got like Maelstrom, that's for crowd control ability. You got Aqua Splash. More or less, she's got like a whole bunch of stuff made for the arena. And even then on Mass Taimanin only has, I think, she has 4 ranged attacks, but you're not going to be able to see those ranged attacks in the first place. Effectively, if you're playing the fight right, you won't see the fight. You won't see those ranged attacks at all. Like, you don't want to see the Destructo Disc that follows you. You don't want to see her when she goes in the Blade Tornado and throws them and shotguns down all of your characters. You don't want to see any of those, because the fight will be over the moment it happens. Yeah, I'd say, like, let's say, Eleanor with her set that has released recently, the Stargazer set, it offers a snare, which is actually really good against someone like Mass Taimanin, who likes to move around a lot. Even when you have disabled her through like disarm, Mass Taimanin will also teleport. So I'd have to do more testing to see if the teleport itself can be interrupted with snare. But I mean, we can just put her at B for now. Maybe something will change. She's still good regardless. She requires specific setups to make her really just totally pop off. Now let me pull up Hebiko on my end, because I want to look at her. I want to get a good look at her. There she is. Okay. Now Hebiko herself against Mass Taimanin is able to use her critical damage boosted stuff, is able to deal very strong debuffs to Mass Taimanin in the form of slows. Yeah, she can actually deal slows, and I think she has a defense down somewhere. Let me check that. No defense downs, but also she's very good at gaining particles. And the Devil's Ink debuff, giving her the speed and also distracting from giving her the distraction like to Mass Taimanin. It actually makes Hebiko for a really nice last stand character because she can just turtle and create a war of attrition. But the fact is she can actually win that attrition because of her healing and just playing cat and mouse. You'll most likely be nearing the timeout portion, but you'll win. Like, I imagine, like, you know, she has potential herself in the arena, but then in terms of fighting the Mass Taimanin, it's like, in terms of fighting Mass Taimanin herself, if you have the unfortunate situation to where Mass Taimanin has spawned her clones, and you have to, 1, get them in control, and 2, get rid of them, Hebiko's really, really good at that. Which is why she actually excels much more at Spider Queen and the Machines, because she has the control feature. And even further on demons, because she can actually inflict slow as compared to the robots where you can't. Hebiko once again sits at B. Hebiko will sit at B for it right now. We got a pretty even split. All right, now let me go to Ingrid. Gotta find Ingrid in the game itself. She's so sneaky. Alright. Ingrid's renewal managed to bring her the strongest weapon she could ever have at this moment, which is Ignis Blade. Ignis Blade gives a skill damage boost stack each time a skill hits an enemy. So when you use something like Dark Flame or Evil Heat Blast, those skills will just deal tons of hits on every single enemy that gets caught inside them. So she's able to hit maximum stacks. Every time she hits a maximum stack, it creates a massive damage explosion on her person. Then the stacks can be reset again. So if you have 4 enemies caught inside... if you have 5 enemies caught inside something like Evil Heat Blast on your machine day, you're going to be able to have probably that whole explosion go off at least 3 times, because it counts every single enemy hit inside it as 1 stack. And not to mention, when the effective Ignis activates and resolves, it reduces the skill cooldowns of all of her skills, I think it is, by 15%. So Evil Heat Blast at maximum cooldown is something like 11 seconds, and Dark Flame is like, I want to say 13 seconds. So any way to reduce those even faster is extremely desired. That's Mage Ingrid, though. It kind of is the antithesis of her. It's a very safe way to play, and it's also very strong in most situations, especially where you can actually get a whole bunch of stacks of Ignis going very quickly. That's only one specific build for Ingrid, though. Ingrid, without that, though, she has her very famous critical hit build, where it does millions upon millions of damage for next to no cost. Everybody knows about Blue Lightsaber. It's one of the mainstays of Ingrid, which makes her so cheap and so strong. You can crit on Mass Taimanin. It's annoying and it takes a while to do, but you can have a little bit of viability in your critical hit build. Like the first 30 floors, yeah, you can do Crescent Slash and annihilate everything. You can still crit for the most part on phase 2. However, you're not going to get very much out of much else. So I'd say like this. She sits in between A and B, because when you play her with Ignis, It's Ignis being that specific weapon. Ingrid's crazy because she has skill spam for days. It allows her to build up stacks super easily because of it, even when you're waiting for Evil Heat Blast or Flare or anything else really. But without it, she still has strong abilities in the fact that I think she has an attack down that she can give enemies. No, Hellfire gives attack down inherently. She's able to buff herself and make herself go faster. That's an Evil Flare also. Well, you have to choose between Evil Flare or Dark Flame. Because Evil Flare actually is the group utility that lets her reduce enemy defense or increase enemies or reduce their speed. So she has one team utility, which means which makes her partner up very well with someone like Murasaki, who can slow everybody down, and it lets her get it's not Flare of Grudge, it's Dark Flame, get Dark Flame off, or have Evil Heat Blast appear again. We'll put her at A. We got some mad Ingrid bias here, of course, because we like Ingrid, and also because she deserves something nice for once. The Ignis build is like it's a sort of battle mage type of gameplay. You don't want to get close, but you need her to get close enough. Effectively, you want to play as Ingrid. You don't want the AI to do it because they're gonna mess it up. They're gonna mess up playing Ingrid, and she's going to die. Which also means, of course, everybody knows this. Ingrid doesn't have healing. She's kind of bad at that. If she takes any damage, if you put the AI to Ingrid, she's gonna die. That's just it. She's gonna run into everything because the game does not realize that you don't need to constantly attack as Ingrid. It's okay to wait a little bit. You want her skills to be up. So you can have Felicia. You have to run Felicia or someone with a field healing that can actually slow down enemies to let Ingrid recover her cooldowns. Which is why you want Ignis so badly. You want Ingrid to be able to use all of her skills because her basic attack kind of sucks. Which is also why they created Sinister Flames and it shoots projectiles. It gives her a ranged option in terms of waiting. The AI actually can use that skill, but thanks to it being categorized as melee and ranged, they want to try to get in close, and it's super duper annoying because Mass Taimanin is just gonna shotgun her down. It's so bad. It's so bad. Sue will leave it be because Sue has really good crowd control and really, really good single target damage. In fact, it's just like she's a similar situation to Ingrid. However, like they honestly could compete for A or B depending on their build. Because Sue also got a renewal, and Sue got a weapon that does similar situation to Ingrid's, where it reduces cooldowns and also increases skill damage. Well, Sue's weapons increases skill damage and also reduces a skill cooldown. So it lets her spam Ryuhashin 1,000,000 times and have insane crowd control. However, that's one build. Outside of that, Sue has super armor that gives her more defense, that really strong crowd control skill at 81, Ryuhashin, and what is it not? It's not just Ryuhashin, it's the it's that one skill that lets her it's her big power dunk. Nyakirosu. Nyakirosu is really, really good because you can actually still crit on this mission, as I've said before, but it's honestly a toss-up between those two. Any day of the week, they could be they could effectively be like anyone you could do. It's a toss-up. Like, you don't have the set, you do have the set, you either or. They can sit there and can be either. Anyways, I just want Ingrid to be an A because I like that one. Well, Belladie, we're talking about Mass Taimanin. Mass Taimanin has obviously, like, what is it? Ingrid has 2 forms of slow that can overlap on each other and make the duration increase. So Ingrid actually has a very strong spot in inside Mass Taimanin. Also because Ingrid is very quick. Her speed actually allows the AI to not fuck up and get out of there for the most part. Everybody, they all like, what is it? When the AI does not know how to stop attacking and reposition. So not Ingrid, but Oboro constantly being able to have fast attacks and resolve them quickly. Yeah, that means she's able to get out of there and do something else. Hello there, Gorg. Alright. Kiara, that. Alright. Miss Icy Hot. Kiara over here is traditionally one of the strongest debuffers in the game. This is where she actually shines for the most part. You have what, 1 skill? You got 1 skill that you use for Miss Vanilla Ice over here. I gotta find her because she's the only one I don't have leveled up. Miss Vanilla Ice here has... She has Blossoming Fog, which sets up freeze strategies, and Blossoming Fog, Glacier Drop, and Frigid Zone. She can lower speed and defense. It's like, okay, what is it? She's a debuffing character who does okay for the most part. I don't have much to say for her, and I don't really see much for her. I'll just put her at C, and I'll leave her at that. Kurenai is a mid-tier attacker. She has crowd control. In a one-on-one situation, she's really good. However, I said this a long time ago, is that, Kurenai needs God's Eye. And God's Eye is a skill that is like really, really weird to use because you need extreme dodging. However, you don't want you don't want Mass Taimanin to move because she'll start casting her skills, and those skills suck. You don't want your enemies you don't want them to do anything. Like if I see her prepare to do the double slash again, I might lose my damn mind. Let's see, because God's Eye itself is it's a self-applied buff. It gives more critical rate, but the thing is, it needs Kurenai loves critting. If she can't crit, what good is Kurenai? She's really good at the Sue disarm strategy because of how fast her basic attack string is. But what is that going to do? What's that going to happen with it? I mean, I've seen people use Kurenai in like very other creative ways. Like over here, Mr. Cacademon's got like the guitar weapon. It's a very good support because it raises up everybody's speed. I don't have my guitar weapon raised up very high. And I think you have to play the guitar weapon in blue because it affects the small tornado, which actually makes it behave like the big tornado. Let's see, Tornado Ren, it makes it do, I think it's what? It makes it go faster in the first place. Let me go that. Yeah, you use Tornado Ren, it makes everybody faster for 5 seconds, and it makes it stronger. It makes her a good support character, but you needed the guitar in the first place. So if you miss the guitar event, what else does she have? She has her arena weapon, the snake weapon you had to have gotten in the first place, and she got Coronet of Supremacy, which is her gotcha weapon. Her package weapon is a very, very good healing skill. I like it a lot. You also need to build a shitload of damage for it so it actually heals correctly. But she sits there in B because she needs to crit. She needs to crit very badly. And the only person that can do it is... the only other time she can do it is... God damn it, Bello D. I literally look over there and she's the upcoming Nutcracker outfit. It's like... I know she's got the Nutcracker outfit. She's gonna bust my balls for saying that she's out here being B tier. What, does she want to be C tier or something? Because she's a nutcracker, that's for sure. My god. Let's see. Yeah, Dainsliff. You can really stack your base you can stack your base damage and just make Dainsliff builds, but you also needed that limited package, so it sits there in the middle. Let's see. Oh, I know Sue with her limited weapon is very good, but it's like, I don't have her limited build, and I get okay results out of her in the first place, especially with Mass Taimanin. Like, I don't get much really incredible usage out of her. Her defense down is nice, but I need to be able to reduce the cooldown faster, and I don't have the weapon to do that. So she just kind of sits there and piddles around until I can cast her big damage skills again. Like, Sue is not consistent damage. She's really high spikes and then a valley. All right, let's see. It's like, well, of course Kiara's going to be in C tier. I'm not much a fan of her in the first place, but I understand that she just uses, she gets off Frigid Zone and that's it. Mostly the way that I play, though, when I use Mass Taimanin, when I fight against Mass Taimanin, is I never let Mass Taimanin move, ever. I disable her from the very start because if Mass Taimanin starts moving, she's extremely dangerous. And if she starts attacking, that's even worse. So I'm never going to see, I'm not going to see an extreme dodge in some cases. Like, there are some times when I go out playing the mission, I don't get a single attack to dodge at all. Oh yeah, I used the disarm in the first place. When we talk about Sakura later, she's like the premier person for that. And then Saika 2 has it as well. Let's see. Micah's next. Micah gets to sit in C as well. In terms of Mass Taimanin, Micah is okay at best. She gets to sit in the back and just deal damage. But even then, if she gets targeted by Mass Taimanin, she will not be able to escape. If she gets hit in any capacity from the enemy she spawns or any sort of damage, like, what is it? When Mass Taimanin throws her kunai that home in on enemies, if Micah gets hit by that, she just sits there and is disarmed. She can't attack, she just sits there and runs around. That's at least when she's in the AI. Like, I like using Micah in AI for machines and the demons, because it's like, it's not good. Especially when she gets the, oh my goodness. When she does the tornado, that hits the entire stage. If Micah is caught in the pathway of the tornado when she throws the chakrams out there, she can't move. She's just gonna die. And when she throws the big homing chakram and that will go across the entire level, if you do not immediately switch to Micah, she's gonna die. And even then, Micah has long cooldowns on some of her skills. And we all know how very, very bad her basic attack string is. It takes she has the whole recovery she has to do every time she shoots off a single shot. And it's really annoying to just see her just piddle away and miss and not do damage. Like, if I'm using Micah by myself, like, if I use Micah as me personally, she's fine, because I can actually dodge attacks with her. But even then, she relies heavily on, she has a heavy reliance on, what's it called? Carpet bombing? I gotta find Micah again. Because I have the game open right now so I can look at skills. Yeah, she has carpet bombing, death from above, incendiary rounds, and ruthless explosion. That's all she ever really uses. If Mass Taimanin will just walk out of ruthless explosion, because if you don't have any way to stun her or slow her down, because sometimes your buffs aren't concurrent because the AI will use a skill or they get an extreme dodge off or something doesn't line up. if carpet bombing at least has the range to where mass Taimanin can stay in there, but ruthless explosion can miss. Incendiary rounds is a similar situation to carpet bombing, but it is a projectile that travels. Death from above is obviously still the better situation though, because she can just sit there and like fire it off every like I think 9 seconds. But even then, she's not exactly the best situation against mass Taimanin. See, I don't like the charge skill there, Gorg. It's just, she just sits there and the AI will sit there and charge the entire skill, and I really want the character to start attacking and doing damage. Because, yeah, Micah's another character where the spikes are enormous. And then it falls off until she can do the spikes again. Does that even out over the course of the run? It may or may not, but it almost feels like a net negative. Like, I don't even need to see, like, oh, how much damage is being dealt. I can see it in the time. Like, if this is taking forever to do if it's taking forever to do something like these missions, it's not being a good character. That's why I don't really like taking Kiara to, like, mass Taimanin, because the way I fight is I don't want her to attack. Kiara relies so much on freezing field, her defense down and speed down thing, and you have to get an extreme dodge off. And if she uses the freeze, the next time the person attacks, if I'm controlling Kiara and I'm like use the freeze attack and drop the ice cube and it freezes my enemies, and then the AI is going to immediately attack and break her out of the freeze, and now I have to wait 4 more seconds for the freeze to come back. I want mass Taimanin disabled in every way, shape, or form. Which is what Nagi's really good at. Nagi's going to go straight up to A because she's a good girl. You know why she's good? Because Nagi is the full package. Nagi is fantastic for VR because she shares weapons with Rin. She also has Muramasa and Mume, her limited weapon. That thing is insane for machines. And insane on masked because it gives defense down. Where's it? Oh, I'm trying to remember the weapon. And also, Nagi also has a weapon that she can get that gives 40% more damage to bosses in the first place. It lets her be a horrendous DPS machine and stay consistent. The weapons themselves are really like, well, that's why I didn't want to make Sue so high as well, because her and Ingrid fight for like A, because they are, Ingrid without Ignis goes to B. Sue without her dragon fists go to B. But if they have Sue with that, it just goes straight to A, because cooldown reduction in that is really important. But back on Nagi. Nagi is really good because she has 2 Taimanin arts. Sword style lets her shoot beams and actually keep her distance away from someone like mass Taimanin, which I like a lot. And then you use something like Mirage Strike. Mirage Strike has where she has 2 times as many attacks and is a massive DPS boost for her. It may just be like a speed increase on it, but it makes everything hit twice. So it makes it like when you're using the Sue disarm strat, Nagi by herself can almost keep the debuff, she can keep the debuff, the disarm or a slow debuff sustained pretty much forever. She's very strong with it. And also, let's see, Nagi's healing skill is Storm Dance. It hits many times. It requires her to sit still, and it has like, it's solid damage all around because it gives her buffs, and it also has really high coverage. That's something I just like absolutely need. And when I use Nagi, I like to play her in blue. So she has the really spammable skill in Scorpion. She's got Centipede to make her teleport to wherever the boss is and also deal damage at the same time. She's got Moonshade for spammability and enclosing distance. Like, this girl is the full package. Like, she's great. Like, she's absolutely fantastic for VR. I'd almost put her at S, but it's like, that almost seems a little, if anything, what would really put her in S would be the fact that she has, what will put her in S against Mass Taimanin is the fact that it's like, if Storm Dance had a higher base range, and then the 3 set for red made it even further, like cover damn near half the area. And even then, since whatchamacallit, Nagi has a really good contingency option against the big Chakram and the Tornado. When she uses her extreme dodge, it buffs herself, or she can deal burn damage, which is great because it keeps the one. I love the fact that it gives a DPS tool against when she's in the tornado. You can't interrupt the tornado unless you break her armor. You can't break her. If you break the armor on Mass Taimanin when she does the tornado, it stops. So if you can deal damage during the tornado, yeah, go right ahead. Go right ahead and do that. Also, because before she always spawns the tornado, she spawns those damn clones. Absolutely bad. Like, I'd keep her at A. I'll just keep her at A right there. She's just so good. She's not like an absolute... She's a very good DPS tool. She's not exactly the best team player. Not the best in terms of she's not the best survivor either, but she does very well in just about every category. We knew the answer. As much as I love Noah's design, she's very rough. I mean, man, you gotta really try. And even then, it's not working out, buds. It just ain't gonna work. Noah against the Mass Taimanin, it's like her skills are too slow. She can heal, but it's like limited at best. Everything just like doesn't come up very good for Noah, especially against Mass Taimanin. Like, if Noah gets interrupted in any capacity, that's just it. She can't do very much. How do you deal with her skills, cooldown getting cut back, and her knockback having end lag as well? Well, I'll tell you this much. That is literally unavoidable if you have characters in VR that are like AI controlled. Like Felicia, she's just gonna get hit. That's why you need to like give one defense Magatama that's specifically meant for racials, and then you can build the rest with like HP or damage. Noah has really long cooldowns. She has to sit still for everything that she does. She's locked into her animations. I think if she has to use if anything, she would need a finisher to get out of them, and she doesn't have those. It's just a bad situation all around for Little Miss Noah. All right, it just doesn't work. All right. Now Sakura is a little weird. I want to put her at A, but she also wants to be B as well. Sakura is a skill spam character like she always has been, but she is also an enabler by herself of the disarm strategy. She can lay disarm very well and very easily too with her weapons, and she can keep it going for the most part too. However, Sakura is extremely reliant on critting. That's what she's always done. It's a similar situation to Aina. They both want to crit. They desperately need it. And if they don't have it, well, tough luck. Sakura also comes with a snare. The single best thing you can do in making sure that Mass Taimanin does not move. You don't want Mass Taimanin to move because it makes the debuffs run out, and she gets away from everything. So The double whammy of actually having the ability to give a hard lockdown to somebody. Oh yeah, I can't neglect to mention Sakura's Destructo Disc, because those things, what is it? In green they have built-in slow. Sakura also has built-in healing with her, with the big stab move she does. I think it's in blue. If I can find her. I can't find her sister. I've lost this child. I've lost this child of man. There it is. Shadow Spin gives healing. It gives a 5% heal. And obviously Sakura is like a big... She's not the best damage dealer herself, but it's actually a really solid method of getting healing for her. That's when you're more or less waiting for Felicia to come back up. And then Shadow Fling, it can either give a speed reduction or a defense down, which is really good because it's also a homing projectile. Shadow Cleave, you know, Nether Dive, Shadow Claw, and Shadow Cleave, all the skills that, you know, traditionally used for skill spam. You really don't even need them. You just more or less want to be able to make Sakura like a debuffer. She's a lot more mobile than someone like Shizuru as well. Shizuru has to sit around for like forever and a day to get anything off in terms of debuffs. Sakura, about every, like, I think, what Shadow Fling got? 12 seconds. About every 9 seconds, Sakura can like give debuffs. And let's see. And they last for 15 seconds. It lasts longer than the cooldown of the skill, so you can actually keep it going, which is great. And of course, Shadow Tangle is like 4 seconds is not very long. It sees a lot more usage on machines. Regardless, it's still... it's still good. She's still good for mass Taimanin. I mean, also let's not yeah. Getting ahead of myself. Not to mention the Shadow Spider also gives a slow if it hits an enemy. So she has sources of defense down and slow. So you can combine those together to make her actually really potent that way. And let's not forget that the fact that there is a VR weapon specifically for Sakura on Mass Taimanin Day. So if you actually really like Sakura, it pays dividends to invest in her into VR, because she has the tools to actually compete against Mass Taimanin and bring the hurt on her. Alright. Rinko will go to B. Rinko's AI is extremely aggressive for the wrong reasons. Like, man. Like, whenever you fight against Rinko, it's... Like, everybody gets that. Man. Whenever you fight against Rinko and she's, like, extremely aggressive, all of her moves get off and you can't get anything against her. They take that same AI and apply it, you know, on your team, and they'll use it against the enemy. She is absolutely horrendous at, like... If you're using the disarm strategy, she is phenomenal for it because she's so insanely aggressive. However, if you mess up the strategy and Mass Taimanin starts running around and her debuffs start wearing off and starts attacking, Rinko becomes insanely bad because of the fact that she'll just get smacked up a lot and just get one shot. She has, of course, she's got Meteor, she's got Wind Slice, she's got Mugen Hoei as a ranged... As a, what is it? She got Mugen Hoei as a ranged tool. It's weird, but it's... I've seen it work. I've used it, and the AI have used it. It actually works, guys. It's really good on the, if you're driving Rinko, and you, what is it? You're driving Rinko, and you see Mass Taimanin has used the tornado, or is making an attack, just throw down Mugen Hoei. Go ahead. It happens every couple of seconds, and it makes and it's just easy damage. Traditionally, I don't like using Rinko as the disarm, not debuff. No, I like using Rinko as the person who applies disarm. I use the supporter for that. And then I have other DPS characters to make it increase. Like, when you as a player play as Rinko, she's really... because of the fact that you can actually deal critical hits to Mass Taimanin and actually you get most of your damage back, you can actually use Violet slash Rinko and go absolutely crazy against her. It does work. However, it's limited at best. Because more or less with Rinko as a player, you're going to be, all you're doing is waiting for Wind Slice. You're going to be probably playing it in green or like a mix of, well, no, you have to play as a mix set. Yeah, you play it essentially as a mix set, but it still can work. Because you need to effectively decide, okay, do I want... Let's see, Rinko will be like my disarm applier. I have to run her in green as a main. I can't take Kade no Kata and give her healing. That is an attack like when Rinko is like an AI character, I don't give her that on Mass Taimanin unless I've specifically created like a disarmament stuff. Because it is so rough. However, Rinko brings the heat all the time. Whether like her AI is so simple, yet it's like the worst. It's like it simply is just too much for her because it makes it dangerous to use as AI, but as a player, she's about hitting extremely goddamn hard. That's it. If you can't, it's just like Asuka. If you're not hitting it out of the park using your goddamn Shosu, you're not gonna be doing much with her. But when you do, though, yeah, it's really phenomenal stuff. Like if you have what is it? Pair her with like Felicia or someone who can like tank damage like Shisui. You want the heat to be taken off of Rinko in every capacity. More or less, you also just put her with Murasaki as well because of good old-fashioned tentacle mine. That thing just solves everything. I love it. Let's see. Next is Saika. Saika is a weird situation for me because she does work. But, well, let's see. Saika is just straight DPS. She is another hard hitter that when you play with her, like as a player, you're able to get off her extreme dodges when you want them to. And also, yeah, now I realize it. Okay, she's going to A. Give me a second. I gotta take my drink. Okay. When you activate the disarm on Saika, it makes the attack stop, and then the Mass Taimanin has to do something else. Saika is an enabler of the disarm strategy. She can enable it on every single map. You can do it regardless of build. It's build agnostic. You effectively also want that skill because it's so good. Let me get where's Miss Psych? Where's the big fat butler in the first place? The big butt butler. Hidden skills. There it is. Let's see. Because Saika is also a solid debuffer. She can reduce speed. No, she can reduce defense, attack. She can heal herself when 2 colors. She has 2 AoE clearing powers as well, so she can suck up small enemies, and also keep. She can do stuff like keep the Mass Taimanin clones together. She can also disarm Mass Taimanin at about every step of the way, which is something that's very valuable on someone who runs around a lot. Sadly, Saika doesn't. Like, if you just need it. She's just very good. That's all I can say about it. She solves Mass Taimanin's speed problem. No, she solves Mass Taimanin's fast all-around attacking problem. She pins her down. She deals insane damage. She can keep herself healthy, even if you like. If I put her as an AI character, I lose the ability to control my extreme dodges, but I also know that Saika is going to be healthy. I won't have to worry about her. Then I also know that they're having debuffs applied as well from range too, because Calamity Over, man, Calamity Over kicks ass. I love that skill. It's so good. Big fat ass robot. Love her. One of my favorites, everybody. Saika's good. Don't ever say she's not. Now, let's see. Big Mom, her, and the Goblin. Alright. We'll go with B from Mom. Big Mom over here is just, that's it. Her basic attack string is extremely slow. I think that's like regardless, everybody understands that. So when she's waiting for her skills to come back up, that's it. She just sits there and waits. She's really good at like using whatchamacallit, Yugen Goku. I gotta find her again. There she is. What is it? The classic combo of Sogetsuin, Senko, and Taimanin Art Water Flow. The same combination we've been using for 4 years because it's so effective and so simple. However, what happens when you're waiting for Sogetsuin and Senko to come back? You gotta use her basic attack string, and it's like, okay, that's it. Like when I use her, it's more or less just a waiting game for those skills to come back up. And if a Mass Taimanin is like takes aim direct, like as a player, it's more or less just a waiting game and trying to bait out an extreme dodge with Shinen Shinshoku or Ganesian. You can use Yugen Goku due to the fact that Mass Taimanin has a critical resistance down. So it's worth making an attempt just to spammable, like the spammable aspect of Yugen Goku, but you don't get the healing of Senko, and you can't use and Rondo as well. So it's just more or less just a waiting game for her. She shines much better in places that have more enemies to deal with, like machines and demons, especially in demons. Her durability and strength go much further. But even then, it's just we gotta sit it in B. And then there's Tokiko. She sits at C. I'll say this once, and I will say it again. Tokiko is an extremely high investment character. If you do not have the resources for Miss Tokiko, you will not be playing as her. That's the long and the short of it. She does have a VR weapon, though, specifically for Mass Taimanin. So it's actually a pretty cheap and effective way to spend 5 weeks and get 5 copies of the weapon. It's extremely expensive, but it offers a very solid solution. Because, let me find Tokiko again. I gotta find the moves. Tokiko, you want to just effectively play her in blue, because Tokiko has clairvoyance. It gives her super armor and defense up. Defense is extremely valuable in VR. It's in fact just as good as attack. And the fact that Tokiko can give herself, one, a huge defense down to every enemy on the screen, and it also gives, no, it doesn't give her clairvoyance, which is weird. It's weird that the skill called clairvoyance doesn't actually give clairvoyance. If she gets a renewal, I hope it does that one day. Like, it's a hard 50% defense down, and then if you run it with two in green, it's another 50%. And then she has clairvoyance to get all of her skills off. But you need Autumn Wind, man. You do. Tokiko likes playing close. She really does. Except for if you have the limited weapon in red, that does change some things, but it's still iffy. Tokiko just wants some fat damage. She wants a whole shitload of stats behind her, because if you don't have it, you're really gonna struggle with her. Life is a struggle with her. All right, and let me. All right, next is Yukikaze. Much to my chagrin. Let's see. I barely ever use Yukikaze, but I understand where her strength comes from. Yukikaze's strength, guess where it comes from? It comes from 3 skills. You only ever use these in the first place. It's called Ryan, Raijudan, and Rakuai or Spark. There it is. That's it. She doesn't do much else. You don't even really use her basic attack because it holds her in place for so long, and it's like iffy on whether or not you're going to be hitting the enemy. It's not exactly my most favorite character to use, because most of my time I'm just waiting for a Raijudan to come back off a cooldown so I can do something else. However, Yukikaze is a red character, which allows her to use the whatchamacallit, White Feather Asuka supporter. And that alone, like, Yukikaze is has a ton of multi-hit attacks, a similar situation to Eleanor. But, and it's a big but, Yukikaze's got that for sure. You can't heal in Yukikaze's red. You can heal in her green, though. And the green Yukikaze build is like, it can show its strength inside of it can show its strength in VR against specifically Mass Taimanin, because 1, it allows her to actually intercept the homing chakram and the tornado from a distance, because she has Raijudan specifically for this, and she can activate her extreme dodge very easily. She has crowd control options in the form of, effectively, you just use Raijudan all the time. She's a one-trick pony on that because of it. Now, you could probably do something in regards to like, oh, I've worked really hard on this Yuri Hisui build, so I can have, I built 100 hit stacks, and then I just go one-shot the boss. It takes a long time to do it, but, oh well. I mean, if anything, I'll just like, she has a few strategies about her, and she's durable, but much like Yukikaze's a big old brat, and she's not much of a team player. So we put her in B. It's as simple as that. All right, I like it. There we go. That's the B team right there for Mass Taimanin. Gonna save that. All right, and yeah, that's mostly, for the most part, that's it for Mass Taimanin. They all have their problems, but except for the S rank crew, they all do extremely well for the most part, and they're insane about it. Let me see. We are. Hello there, Jeff, and hello everybody that's joined. For the most part, I've gotten get real crazy about it. All right, that's Mass Taimanin. I literally talk for 90 minutes straight. I need a drink. Oh, Rapper didn't miss anything. We still got 2 more whole categories to go through. We'll hit save that. Ugh. All right. Now I need to clear this. See, when we talked about Asagi earlier, it's like I would describe it like this. She has what is it? Asagi has insanely high damage potential, but for the most part, she just sits there and what is it? You use Munika. You use Munika for like the defense down or the slow, whichever one it is. And either way, it's that's it. That's all she does. You can use her to like the Naraku stacking strategy and like use invincibility, or like you drive Asagi specifically to build up her stacks, and then she has like S tier damage. She will outpace like damn near everybody on the top end because she makes her damage very high and consistent, as long as you can keep it that way. All right. Next up, let's start off something else. You're here. Add a row above. Mass Taimanin. UFS Squadron. Okay. Next up is the Machine Week. Let's go to presentation mode. Alright, next up is Machine Week. Machine Week is a very, very weird situation because... Alright. Machine Week itself is annoying to deal with because Mass Taimanin, you can deal every single debuff to Mass Taimanin and effectively lock her down the entire fight. You want to kind of do that because of her insanely dangerous skills. However, with a UFS Squadron, there are more enemies that spawn in constantly. You have lightning that hits you all the time. The enemies are insanely erratic. But there's only one phase. There's one phase, but 3 very durable and difficult and annoying bosses. So you need lots of crowd control, and you have got to burst down. You have got to get your enemies under control in any way, shape, or form. Sadly, though, these enemies, the bosses themselves are not affected by slow. So probably the most viable strategy of slowing your enemies... The most viable strategy of slowing your enemies down has now been removed. And you must consider that. If you do not consider that, you're not going to win. So, let's get started with that then. So, let's look at Aina. Aina herself can go to A because she can play close. She can activate her extreme dodge all the time. She has massive AoE clearing ability, and she has spammable skills. She can keep herself topped up in the middle of battle, but she can keep herself topped up, which is very important. If she couldn't do that, then she would honestly just fall off very quickly. When the AI uses her, though, it falls off very hard because the AI, for some reason, absolutely loves to get under the feet of the robots and not try to proc an extreme dodge out of it. So she is constantly getting hurt. She has A damage. Like, as a player, like, yeah, she's great. You can actually keep things under control because of the way that you you can position yourself correctly and like make the laser hit 3 enemies at once. You can do a whole bunch of crazy stuff. Now I gotta bring up Miss Ann Rose. Gotta find her again. Like, Anne Rose herself can actually deal as like a lot of AoE power. So she's very good at having the ability to like strike multiple enemies at once, give them attack down and defense down. So it's worthwhile to make sure that she can give the hurt to them, to be able to give them the hurt. And of course, she can heal herself in 3 different ways. I don't think she can actually do it in red though. So she'll sit up in B. Asagi, Asagi loses her ability to slow enemies. That's like the Asagi thing to do. So what does she do with that? What does Asagi do now besides so yeah, Asagi can't slow people down, so what does she do? Not a lot. She just sits there and gets hurt all the time because she just walks into she will walk up to robots and just start attacking them. And it's not exactly the best. I'd almost put her at C. We could probably put her at B because she has really high damage potential. Astaroth goes to S because the answer is simple. Astaroth stays away from everything. She also has really good crowd control. She's got Serpent Blaze. She's got Hellfire. She has the Meteor. Like, there have been many times where I can, if I angle Astaroth's like targeting reticle just right, I can have the Meteor hit all 3 robots at once and break their armor. Not many characters get the opportunity to do that, and also not have to be within 5 feet of within sniffing distance of the enemy. Granted, that is with Undying Apocalypse. Without it, you have to be closer with Astaroth, but Astaroth doesn't have to worry about that since she has the super armor on her spells. Let's see. Oh yeah. Since there is constantly you're constantly taking hits, you're constantly taking damage during machines. So whenever somebody gets hit by like thunder or like a stray bullet or something, and they roll a skill cooldown increase proc, it's really bad. Which is why you want like a melee character to be like a blocker or something. So Miss Asuka over here, she's special. She goes to B because she can raise her critical hit rate. She can deal a lot of damage. There's no real way to slow down slow the bosses down themselves. So if she doesn't have her skills up, she's not gonna be dealing much to those bosses. So what does she do? Then she's relegated to like trash clearing duty, and even then it's like there are better characters to do that. Like Aina can also attack the boss and heal, and also take out the trash at the same time. Asuka has to like pick and choose her battles, and even then she ain't got the pick of the litter, I'll tell you that much. Okay, Eleanor goes to A. Eleanor is a similar situation to Aina because Miss Chocolate Elf over here has the ability to break armor extremely quickly, defense down, AoE clearing. She has 2 skills that suck enemies in to help clear out trash, and also help keep the bosses together when you've broken up their armor, because you don't want the bosses to walk around a lot. In fact, the last thing you want them to do is go into their walking animation, which deals a ton of damage on every step of the way. In fact, it will damn near kill about anything that gets in its path. Eleanor does a really good job at that with her limited weapon, and also just in general. Because you can give her White Feather Asuka, and just... Oh, that's right. Oh, Tsubasa. Oh, I love that song. Oh, I want to skip it, but I gotta. But Eleanor is just like this insane crowd control master. I would almost put her as an S tier for like UFS Squadron, simply because of the fact that she has strong crowd control. She can't heal herself though, but so she requires a Felicia to get in there. And her teaming up with Felicia is like, it's great. It's a match made in heaven. Emily goes to S because Emily against the machines is an absolute fantastic idea. Emily, of course, is the only one that has a weapon during the Emily's the only one that has a weapon that you get from the VR shop. It gives her more damage, and it also gives her more defense. Emily is also one that is a character that sits in the back, sits pretty, can heal everybody, and can heal herself, and also just whittle all of her enemies down. It's honestly really, really nice to see her just like win the battle for you. Because effectively, like, almost all of your damage is most likely going to come from Emily or Micah when we get to her. There's not a lot to be said that hasn't already been said about Emily. She's just very good. It's the same thing with Felicia. Felicia now has the very happy ability to use her extreme dodge and apply blood marks all the time. And then she can refresh it further with Evil Strange. So she can keep the team topped up and healed because everybody is going to take damage. Everybody does. Because that lightning hits wherever you are. You're going to get hit by bullets. You're going to get stomped on. Something is going to happen to where you got to heal. And Felicia is going to be your gal to get you through it. She will literally pull characters who traditionally have trouble healing or need to have some sort of crowd control feature to greater heights. Sora goes to S. You know why Sora goes to S? Because she stays away from everybody. Like, these three right here are like fantastic for machines. Sora can sit in the back and just fire off. It's not God's Eye. It's the one that has like Celestial Fox. All you do is just use Celestial Fox from the back row, and you just go absolutely ham. And even then, you can use Flare of Grudge, because if you're going to be probably running, at least I do this. I run Felicia. I run Sora in blue all the time. So you can use Flare of Grudge, her 81 skill. It reflects damage taken. It doesn't actually give her a defense up. However, it just lets her be more defensive and actually increase her DPS a little. Actually, since she takes so much incredible damage, she won't be. If you're doing things right, your ranged characters aren't going to get hurt so much. The fact that she's able to stay by herself and alone, is very important. And also, she's really good at giving, increasing particles on herself. So she just sits there, just fire off arrows after arrow, and increase her stuff to the max. Even if you don't have something like a debuff, like a very common debuff is, what's it called? Ultimate damage down. It doesn't matter about ultimate damage down, is that you stop the clock. And Sora stops the clock all the time. That lets you recover from bleed. It lets you recover from bleed, reset your skill cooldowns, and mess around with your supporter cooldowns as well. Like, she's a very nice all-in-one character, especially against machines. And if you use the Kuramachi Kato supporter that gives snare to random enemies, you will almost always be fighting 1 to 3 enemies on UFS Squadron, because you'll get rid of all of the mooks first, and then you'll just be fighting the robots. So you have a pretty good chance of having the robots be snared at some point, which is a very happy situation for Sora, because it keeps her safe. Hebiko cannot slow anybody. Let's see, Hebiko can't slow anybody. She can't do anything like that. She does actually get some use out of, like, you as a player actually do get some nice use out of Hebiko, because she can keep herself topped up from the constant amount of extreme dodges she can do. But there's also the fact you have to deal with When the AI uses Hebiko, it doesn't work because they will break out of the healing effect almost immediately. And also that when Hebiko goes into stealth mode, it breaks off the enemy's aggro to the next closest ally. Sometimes that ends up being your ranged characters or another person you don't want it to attack. So that's why we're going to put her in B for that. Let's see. And Ingrid is another pure strength character that she cannot crit in the first place against most enemies, but she does have really good crowd control tools. If you don't have Ignis, you're kind of shit out of luck on that one because it really, really makes a difference for her. But we can keep her at B. Sue, though, is a fantastic machine racist because she has two weapons she has a weapon that specifically does more damage to machines, and then you can give it the Bagatamas for it. So all she does is, like, as soon as the fight starts, she goes up and instantly deletes one. You effectively have to just wait for about 2 or 3, just 3 total Ryu Hashins so you can blow up enemies. She is absolutely incredible at just blowing enemies up because now you can actually use her crowd control tools to their maximum potential. Like you throw down her snakes, you throw down the dragons, and she just goes crazy. What is it? You use Koryuka. You use her. You can get her extreme dodge skill off actually, and it gives her more defense. And then you just pop Ryu Hashin, and then she just like deletes one of the machines right then and there. She's absolutely perfect for it. In fact, I think most of the records on like about every machine mission are set with Sue because she's that good. She just requires a little help in the form of using the Faust supporter. Someone has that on their main for like the 100% defense down, and that's about it. I would put her in S, but, well, she lacks the sort of team utility and crowd control. Honestly, it really depends on the situation. It's like she could be an S or an A for UFS Squadron very easily. It's like she floats between the two because she has such strong crowd control. Kiara goes back to C. What happens when you take out, let's see, Kiara has the freeze ability, which means the moment you freeze a subject, the next hit they take will break them out of it. That effectively becomes useless in VR due to the fact that, one, the missions are so chaotic. UFS is so chaotic, you will never truly get the freeze completely off on the bosses, because they're constantly being hit. You can't time it to do a big snap freeze boost because when an enemy is frozen, the next hit they take is double damage. So you usually don't get a chance to really get that off unless you're really trying for it. So then you have all of her slows. Kiara's really good at slowing enemies down. She can slow down the the mooks and the mobs and everything like that. She can't slow the bosses down, which is the most important thing to do. That means she can't immobilize them. That loses like half of the thing for her. There's also a thing with Murasaki as well. Tentacle Mine loses its really strong slow. And also the fact that it's like Kiara also has a defensive boost, the defense down as well, which is honestly still worthwhile. However, Murasaki can heal herself from the immense damage she's going to be taking. Kiara can't. She gets constantly messed up by lightning or getting kicked or shot. Murasaki can persevere through that and still prove a valuable asset to the team. Effectively, it's one has super armor, the other doesn't. One doesn't have super armor and the other does. It's kind of a toss-up between that. Let's see. Kurenai actually sees nice use here. Kurenai's Kurenai gives a speed boost to everybody. She has a tornado that can constantly be picking up and damaging enemies. That also keeps them together too. That's another thing. She has a Storm Fang and Tornado Ren. Both the tornadoes. They allow her to just sit in the back and pile enemies up together so they can receive a huge amount of damage and clean up everything. Besides being on cleanup crew, Kurenai is also very good at just like straight up hitting enemies. I mean, who isn't really? Her healing is mostly relegated to the fact that it has like, she has her counter skill. That's it. No, her healing skill and Dine's Lift if you're using the build for it. So you have to partner her with her sister or Emily. Because if you don't, Kurenai is just not going to have enough healing to overcome the constant wave of attacks that she's going to be taking when she's standing right by like this 20-ton robot's foot. Micah goes to S. Micah goes to S in VR. You know, want to know why? Because I like her. I like her because she's also another one that sits in the back and is able to, let's see. The difference between Micah in Mass Taimanin and in VR, not Mass Taimanin and UFS, is in UFS you have slow-moving enemies that are mostly just dumb as a box of rocks. They don't really target, they target the closest thing to them, and as long as you're blocking them and grabbing their attention, they won't attack your ranged characters, which is why these characters right here are so successful. Like, I put the Foss supporter on Micah, I give her Death from Above, I give her Carpet Bombing, I give her, and the Ruthless Explosion. Micah just sits in the back and deals a ton of damage. That's all I want her to do. And the fight usually lasts about, like, I don't know, 10 to 30 seconds, which is fantastic. And Micah usually will never get hurt unless something's weird happened, like a lightning bolt interrupted her skill or anything like that. And Murasaki goes to S because she can't slow enemies down in any capacity, but she can also attack straight through the gunfire, straight through the striking, and apply a strong defense down. In fact, you can combine Foss defense down with Murasaki's 75% defense down, and just like, bam, those you'll be able to actually see over 1 million damage criticals in VR for like the first time ever. You're never gonna probably see him again, but it's like, man, it's weird seeing on like floor 31 I'm actually doing that much damage. Nagi falls off a little because in a one-on-one fight situation like Mass Taimanin, Nagi really excels. But in here, she's okay. For me, at least. Like, I use her as, you know, like, she's just a straight-up attacking character that has nice single-target capability. But you can spread her around to something like I want her to keep her distance a little bit because her AI likes to have her just run up to the boss and just, you know, absolutely just go nuts. For better or worse. Like, she just... I need to bring up the skill. I need to bring up her skills again. Because I can't remember the name. It's such cool... Like, the armor is so cool. She obviously needs Storm Dance at all costs. However, since Storm Dance has a long animation and it requires her to sit still, she's very prone to whiffing it. And it kind of hurts because sometimes she really needs that healing that she was supposed to get from it, but the enemy walked away, or the enemy walks away, or the AI uses it a wrong time. It's kind of annoying. But for the most part, it's like Nagi can... She can stay on her enemies very well, and it's like if you have someone who is really good at busting up the armor on the enemies, like you have Feather Asuka or some sort of way to just like lock down the robots in the first place, like with Sakura. You have a very strong chance of persevering with Nagi around. She's just a DPS tool, and if you know how to use a DPS tool well, it will serve you just fine. Noah goes to D because every problem that she has normally is now exacerbated times 10 in a UFS squadron. In Mass Taimanin, she deals between 1 to 5 enemies. In UFS squadron, it's almost between 3 and 8. So she gets interrupted at every step of the way and takes a ton of damage. She has to commit to everything, and it's just rough for her. However, Noah does have a snare ability. She can snare her enemies. They have to be within a certain distance of her, and they can happen quite a lot. However, it's not as potent as Sakura's, which is just much better all the way around. And let's see. Oboro will go to C on UFS Squadron because the thing that made her really excel in Mass Taimanin was the fact that she can slow her enemies and make them incapacitated. She can't do that anymore with UFS Squadron. She can slow down a few enemies, and she doesn't get the critical boost that Phase 2 Masked gets. So she just sits there and in squalor and just kind of flounders. Rin's a strong damage dealer. She's not much of a team player. You just literally sit her out there and let her fat tits go to work. That's all I could ever say. And Rinko goes to B because her AI is way too aggressive. Her AI is extremely aggressive, in fact. She will get constantly hit because all of her skills have wind up except for Wind Slice. And even then, she can get easily kicked out of that too. She honestly hovers between C and B. I give her a B rank because I like her. Saika got the big S. Saika has the ability to give attack down, which is very valuable on these goddamn robots. And she can't give, I don't think she has a defense down booster. I think she does. Most of all, she's got disarm. She can disarm these stupid robots like all the time. And when the robots are disarmed, they go into a taunt, which makes them sit for like 4 seconds. So you wait for the cooldown to come back and you keep doing it. And since there's so many attacks flying around, so many projectiles, she can actually get the disarm buff off very often. That alone puts her like right up there, like the straight up machine violence against each other. Not to mention, she can heal herself. Like she goes out, gets the disable up, and goes and heals herself, tops herself up in the fight. It's worth it. She's just very solid all around against these machines because she has an answer. And next we are now to Sakura. Sakura goes to A. She does a lot of similar things. You can actually run both together for 2 things. Like Saika goes to S because of the disarm. Sakura goes to A because she just has the snare. The snare doesn't actually disable them from attacking. It makes them be unable to, move. You don't want them to move. You don't want them to move because of their kicking and their shooting. You don't want them to attack because it'll take off half your life with a single bullet. You can run both of them together. In fact, you can honestly interchange Saika and Sakura in S to A right here because of that ability. You can actually run both of them together. It's a little counterintuitive because you don't actually have a defense down person. But hey, you can actually mess around with that and just bring Murasaki. Well, see, there you go, Jeff. It's like they're interchangeable at this point because both of them actually worked well together. And then you have your third person for defensive purposes, and it actually like creates a very nice triangle of coverage. Because these all like this is actually a really good example. Murasaki will bring defense down, Saika will make sure the enemies can't attack, and then Sakura holds them in place. It's a very strong triangle. It's a very strong triangle of the timings are weird, but it makes it so that you can keep your enemies buried alive. But it's like these two are just honestly interchangeable. They work so well. That's honestly like an A+ category situation. I usually don't like to do that because it just like it muddies the water. Takeover's long cooldown is mostly circumvented with the fact, like, if you run it with Sakura, the snares cooldown. No, the cooldown. The length of snare is 4 seconds, which is kind of bad against the robots who want to walk around a lot. However, Murasaki's defense down lasts super long. And then you can actually combine it with something like this. Like one will have it disabled so you can actually get the attacks to stop, which also makes it so that these two can't work because they need an extreme dodge. However, you can actually get off the lightning, which is it's good. They're interchangeable. I'll leave it at that. Big Mommy is too slow to handle. However, she does have really, really good AoE clearing capabilities. I mean, I also just like Saika more anyways, Jeff. I like her big, gigantic ass being able to just booty bump everybody and just win. That's why I put her there, because she's hot. She's super hot. Great. Yeah, Big Mommy over here, she can heal herself. She has single target damage. But it's like... It's a toss-up for me, because she can go like a B+ situation. She's slow, and she has to wait for her attacks too much. And, like... She can get off Shinen Shinshoku really easily, or... And she's mostly also just sitting there waiting for Rondo or Senko or not Yugen Goku. It's that big old power dunk skill. Yugen Goku, that's it. Yugen Goku is really good for like this mission specifically. That's that one specific situation though. It's just there to do a huge amount of damage and that's it. But more or less after that, you're just waiting. Like, I put her like a B+ situation. Like, if you want to use her in green, she could go in A. But if you want to take her in other colors, she's just relegated to crowd control. She's versatile, but a little slow. Like, I'd split the difference between there. Shisui, once again, goes to S because... Shisui has insane amount of defense. She can heal herself. She has team utility. She has team utility and the fact that she has oh man, I'm burping. But she has team utility. She has the slow doesn't really work there either. She just punches really hard. She's a solid DPS machine. She's an S tier DPS machine from the sole fact that the way that she deals damage is completely invincible. She can AFK, you can pretty much AFK farm with like her, Saika, her, Micah, and Emily. You just sit there on like a low ranking machine floor and just like set it down and go away. They'll win. Like the fact that she has like that skill that activates every single attack and it brings back Guardian to her. Like, you just have it set up for a sort of like directly protecting Shisui, and it'll be just fine. You obviously can't activate the healing skill, because like when you're driving Shisui herself and you can like activate her healing skill, like, oh, I want to AFK farm or something, like quote unquote AFK farm or just passive farm or something. Like, you just activate the healing skill and you just keep attacking. You don't have to worry about it because Shisui's like stupidly strong. She solves her problem of being somewhat frail in regards to her, like, oh, I'm gonna take like the base body of Shisui that actually casts the skills is crap, but the Guardian is very strong. So she doesn't have to give a shit about anything. She just sits there and just wallops them all. Shizuru is a I know, I'll split this apart because it's got a... Ooh. No. There we go. We gotta add another one. I just gotta. Because it's like, there's too many times where I'm splitting the difference. Oh, I should have just added that. With B plus, A minus. And then A plus, S minus. Cool, that means you can put characters like those two, that in there. Yeah, that'll work. That's where Eleanor needs to go too, because she's very good at that. Let's see. Shizuru has a very hard time of getting her skills off in UFS Day because, man, who would have thought that having a character with long, elaborate animations versus getting multiple rounds of gunfire, lightning bolts, and punches and kicks flying around would have a very hard time getting her skills off, which is why Eleanor is a much better Shizuru on UFS week. So that puts her like in B plus, A minus. Shizuru can do very good debuffs, but Eleanor does the job better because she can actually sit at a distance and not have to worry about it from like 10, 15 feet away. And Yukikaze is more of the same. And what's her face? I'm forgetting her name. Yukikaze is very good because is like a solid choice there between the two of these tiers because she can just sit there and deal passive damage. She has a lot of multi-hit attacks, so she can just effectively she can use Raijudan and get a lot of AoE clearing power out of it, and also break armor with White Feather Asuka. That is that's all I would ever use her for, and that's all I'd ever do. Because it's all I ever want the AI to do as well. And then we have Tokiko over here. Tokiko is really good for specifically just going crazy and having like, what are we gonna call it? When she uses clairvoyance and drops the enemy's defense down to essentially nothing, you can stack that with another character like with another character running a defense down, like, oh, who has a defense down? No, but Murasaki. Murasaki's defense down. You can also stack with this. So and then you can have something else like with Micah in the back that uses Faust, and you can just blow up about anything. However, guess how much investment you need to make that happen? I mean, a lot. You gotta, once again, Tokiko needs help. She really does. Like, she can honestly float. I can honestly float her down to C and not feel bad about it, because it's like she is a melee character through and through. She may have ranged options, but they sure aren't very good. There are people who can play that better than I can. They can play her better than I can, and have way more investment for sure. Because I don't want that. It just ain't me, man. It just ain't. But like, effectively, you can make a team out of like the entire S rank group here, and it's you'll be just fine. I could honestly never complain about it, because then whenever I do UFS Squadron, all I do is just Astaroth, Emily, and a mix of Sora and Micah. Like, if it's just like straight up power farming, I want all the damage in the world, so I just use my hard hitters like that. But for progression, you have to do something with regarding like Astaroth is good, but it's like she becomes a liability. Felicia is required for the healing, and you protect someone like Micah, or I get Murasaki or Shisui to lead. Everybody else is like specific, because they have role-specific endeavors that they must accomplish. Actually, no, we send her up there because of the fact that she just blows up machines. She's got 2 whole days. She's got 2 weeks. She's good. Put her up there. Sadly, Ingrid has to take a back seat on that one, because she has crowd control. But if you ain't got Ignis, you ain't gonna be doing very well. She likes the skill spam, but you're gonna get hit a lot. I'll just say that much. That's why her extreme dodge and effectively battle mage Ingrid, that's the way to go with like on UFS week. Bros, just pick up Ignis. It's gonna make your life better. I think I only have 1 copy of it, and even then it's just like, it's phenomenal. And let's see. Alright. I will save that on my end. Let's see. UFS Squadron VR. Cool. Save that. There we go. Alright, let's reset it. Go back to presentation mode. And now we go to the final one, which is Seaman Demon Day. It's going to be great. So, Spider Queen. Spider Queen is this week, too. So you can actually, well, who knows, we could probably put some of those things to fruition and actually give them a try. At least in terms of ideas. Alright. So we'll start again. So Spider Queen is obviously more different. Spider Queen is a return to form and of debuffs. In debuffing Spider Queen, debuffs have a 50% reduction in length. So if something lasts 10 seconds, it's going to last 5 seconds. If it lasted 4, it lasts 2. So you can still inflict debuffs. You just need more sources of the same thing to keep it up. Or you need extensions or overlaps. So anybody with a low cooldown version of that sort of stuff is very, very good. So let's take a look at that. Let's start off with Miss Ina Titchester. Aina is very fun to use over there in VR because she has a ton of skill spam and she's really good for taking out mobs. Now, Spider Queen spawns spiders all the time. I mean, like you're not going to be, you will never not see spiders. They're almost always almost more annoying than the boss themselves, because the spiders will inflict every once in a while a 90% slow. It's really bad. Or they'll inflict bleed. Bleed in this game scales off of base damage dealt, from what I remember. It's something like that. And also bleed has a chance to crit too. It's not out of the ordinary to see bleed just go do something like, I don't know, 7,000 damage a tick when it crits on like higher floors. And it's pretty damn devastating to see one of my favorite characters like Astaroth or Psycha get bled out because they took one shot from a spider. We'll get there, Gorg. I know. One thing to know is that Spider Queen is very slow. Spider Queen herself is actually not much of a threat because all Spider Queen, you are mostly fighting damage over time. You're fighting dots and you're fighting slow. That's the hardest thing about the fight itself. It's a DPS race, because if you deal damage too slowly, you're probably going to get bled out or poisoned, because it's not out of the ordinary to have bleed and 2 forms of poison on you to deal like 7,000 or 8,000 damage total. Granted, this is when you start getting into higher floors on a riskier farm, but even then, it's still annoying. Which is why you want DPS out the nose, and you want disability. So, you can do that. Aina is pure DPS, once again. A for Aina, because she's super good at it. And she has low cooldown skills and AoE clearing to make sure that you ain't gonna see no goddamn spiders. She puts on her combat boots and goes stomping. Pretty simple stuff. She's there to shoot spiders and ask questions later. You go to C. I don't have much for you. Yours not that great. Asagi goes to A. A for Asagi, yeah. We'll probably split the difference because it's an A and B situation again. Asagi can now once again use her slow, and use it very often to disable the spider herself, because one, the slow is global. Like, she burns local. The slow is global, and it slows the boss down, makes it really easy to do. She can also constantly inflict a long-lasting defense down debuff. I'm pretty sure it's defense. It's either that or speed. Asiago, where are you? There you are, baby. Yeah. She can either reduce speed or defense by 30% for 15 seconds. And with the 50% off that Spider Queen innately has, it's 7.5 seconds. So, and the cooldown is 13 seconds. You will still be able to see that debuff happen pretty often. So they are, you can actually just pair these. I have paired Aina and Asagi up before, and they do pretty well. Because also Aina has a field healing. You can have Asagi and them both stay together inside the area and just go nuts. It's great. Astaroth once again goes to S. She already had a weapon in the first place to defeat the spiders. Astaroth has Serpent Blaze to take out or weaken all the spiders. She has teleport moves. She has AoE clearing and holdouts with the Terrorize debuff allows her to slow her enemies and then also make them groggy at the same time, that's big moolah stuff in red. And then she also has her big fat ass meteors that she can drop all the time. That's like, the fact that they buffed the meteor now to be one, it was already really good. It's a low cooldown, high damage skill that hits in an area. Now it does it twice, and it will just one-shot every spider phase every time. Like many clears in high level and low level are done with Astaroth. It's because she's so insanely potent. Because all you have to do is protect her. You protect Astaroth and she can get away with it. Asuka goes to C because she can't heal. And she just needs to just kick down about everything in her way. I love my hot robot a lot. But I know she's got problems. She's got hot problems. And she's a hot mess, that's for sure. Because she wants to crit. And we're in VR. You don't crit anymore. So what does that leave her with? I don't know, not a lot, that's for sure. She can inflict some defense down every once in a while, but it just ain't a lot. This was coming. This is for sure. Eleanor is insane on Spider Day. She's fantastic. Simply for the fact that, one, in red, it's like the thing you use for some reason, is because red, one, it lets her get the Asuka supporter. It lets her have very high crowd control. It sucks up all the enemies. She sucks up all the spiders that don't have armor and kills them. She weakens all the bigger spiders that do have armor, and then they get sucked into the whirlpool and then die. And they all get sucked into one place. It's vastly injures the Spider Queen with all of her skills. She can inflict defense down. And she has the wet debuff, which is an attack down buff, which is good because Spider Queen being very slow, she hits very hard. And since bleed is based off of damage dealt, you want it so you want the if you're gonna take an attack, you want it as weakened as possible. So go ahead and do that. Emily's S. What's there to say? She's got a field healing. She sits in the back, fires missiles. She's got a self-heal, the group heal. She can inflict slow, defense down. Emily's the full package, and she can sit at a distance and do it. As is the same thing with Felicia. You really want Felicia here because she's the number one thing that prevents your entire team from dying from being bled. Like poison, bleeding, Felicia solves that because it's the debuff, the blood marks. They're insanely. Felicia can get them off all the time because there's a ton of projectiles coming out. The very long windup on all of Spider Queen's attacks lets her just milk extreme dodges and constantly have the debuff applied. And you have to keep applying it because I think it lasts only 4 or 5 seconds. So you have to find some way to keep doing it. And then, for the most part, you can actually keep Spider Queen debuffed all the time because you actually just have to keep doing it because Spider Queen is just insanely bulky. Like, you just got to keep pounding her down. It's just a battle. It's an attrition, and you just got to keep whittling. Sora sits here in A because honestly, it's like she's very good at this mission, but she also has a bit of a difficulty due to the fact of all the mobs. And something I neglected to mention is that whenever a new phase starts or 30 seconds have passed after the last Nova, Spider Queen will drop a Nova every time there's a phase change. So when that starts, and it's like it's 25 seconds after that starts, you have to keep a little mental math situation in your head of when the next Nova will come up. That Nova gives attack down and lays a strong bleed. That would honestly be the death of many of your characters because it weakens your team and it also gives them a strong, painful debuff. Sora, for some reason, will sometimes the boss will randomly spawn in on the next phase, and sometimes it will be next to your range characters. So the spider itself will just, I'm going to attack, and the moment you attack the Spider Queen, she drops the Nova and lays the bleed down on your characters. It doesn't interrupt their attacks, but it's still really painful regardless. And sometimes when Sora messes up her attack, she uses her the big arrow that heals her, and it doesn't heal very much, she's just going to die to a bleed tick or just getting smacked around. She's still very strong. You just have to be protective of her. Hebiko gets to sit in B. She's very good at giving debuffs, but she falls in the same situation as Sakura, where they both want to crit. In fact, they're both very highly crit-based characters. But you can't crit very much here. You want to do that for sure. But Hebiko just sits there and, like, it's rough for her. It really is. Where is she? Where's Miss Hamburger? Like, she can use, oh, where is it? Field. Like, she's more or less there to just use Octopus Field for the fact that it's like, okay, I'm dealing a very large field slow that gives me a lot of particles, so it lets me have the ability to just use my ultimate all the time. I like that. Then she can use Pulling Tentacle to, like, move the boss around and interrupt attacks, which is honestly a very good way of doing things, because it does work sometimes. Like, if they've broken their armor, they're trying to do an attack or something because your characters got spread out or something, you can use that to keep things together and moving. She also has Tentacle Angling, but it's like kind of not a very good situation regarding Hebiko because, well, you needed to attack the character, you needed to attack the lure, and I guess I can see it as a tool for her to, like, protect the other teammates or something. Regardless, it's okay at best. Ingrid, once again, sits there in A. She's a very strong damage dealer in a place that needs a lot of damage dealt. And she is Our Lady. She is... There is no reason not to just go nuts with her. She's very strong, and if you just want to let her rip, you can go right ahead. She just lays down the heat and lays down the law. I can't stress that enough. It's the same thing with Sue. Sue is also a massive damage dealer to demons. She has Machine Hand and the Dragon Claw, which are both racial specific weapons. So you just build up for her, and then you can just go, okay, here we go, yeah, Ryuhashin, and then the instantly dies. The phase is over. That or it's very close. Kiara now will actually be able to escape B, mostly because of the fact that she can slow down all the enemies, give a defense down as well at the same time, and it actually works out well for her. You obviously need to pair her up with Felicia, or she's never ever going to heal, and she probably will die from a bleed tick more than anything. You have to be playing as her, though. You cannot let the AI do it because it's going to make very bad decisions. It's going to make very bad decisions for you. Kurenai will go into B2 because she also has the she has AoE clearing power to suck up small items, but she doesn't really bust down armor very well. And that's just about it. And Micah is another situation where if she gets slowed, it's pretty much a death sentence. And also in Spider Queen, you're going to be getting hit all the time she has to sit still to make every one of her attacks pop off. So she's very vulnerable to getting shot from the small spiders. And sometimes they can actually just walk up to her and just deal, I'd say like the very hard slow, or she can end up accidentally, like, she ends up rolling whatchamacallit. What do they call that? It's the thing where it's when you get hit, you have a % chance for it to increase skill cooldown. That happens a lot with Micah, especially on some place where you can't exactly defend her from all angles or pull all attention to her. It's not like she isn't usable. It's just she has a tough time in spiders. However, it isn't impossible. I've done some stuff with Micah in there for her as well. Murasaki is pretty self-explanatory. area defense down and slow against a very bulky boss, can heal herself, can effectively lock down the boss too. Because Spider Queen is still vulnerable to debuffs. It's not an impossible situation, but it still has to do them regardless. Nagi sits there in the middle again. She's just a middle of the pack attacker regarding this. She has a pretty solid strength behind her, but it's like she's just there to deal damage. That's all I need her to do. And it's nothing crazy like specific racial busting down or whatever. You just have her there to hit damage. Noah, that's just how it goes for her. I'm getting tired. My throat hurts. And Oboro can actually see some use, so we'll put her in C, due to mostly the fact that now that she's not fighting slow immune enemies, she can be mobile, use her get off extreme dodges to get hypnosis seal, and then use she can use her spin and defeat all the small spiders. But she needs something that's able to... she has to be paired with Felicia. In fact, you will most likely be taking Felicia with you in just about every single run of spiders. Unless you found ways to get very, very quick damage. Very, very fast damage to make sure that you don't have to worry about getting hurt by the spiders. Not by the spiders, but not so much by the bleed. That's it. And Rin is another all-around solid damage dealer. She jumps in, she throws down one of her red skills, and the boss goes away. Rinko is also another one. She's another one of those characters where it's aggressive, and it's very good that she's aggressive, because that means she will beat up all of the mobs herself, and also just constantly accost the boss. So if Felicia manages to get off blood marks, it isn't out of the ordinary to have Rinko heal herself completely. That, or you have Kade no Kata on her, and she'll just nuke a spider to fully heal her HP. She's actually very good at it. And then Saika. Saika is very like another solid all-around damage dealer. She has the disable, which is very nice against against spiders. And then she has very good single target damage in that one AoE situation, so it makes it a lot more annoying for her to do that. I'd honestly put her like in B because of the sole fact that it's like Rin has more AoE coverage than she does. Like she can get picks from a distance, like the big black spiders or the brown spiders or something. She can do that. However, she's mostly there to get focused on the boss. Sakura will sit in C, mostly more for the fact that it's like the fight is so slow. The fight's very slow. She can still crit, but it's mostly due to the fact like I don't need snares. I don't need all that. I mean, she can sit there the same like area as Shizuru, where it's what is it? Sakura can deal very good debuffs just like Shizuru, and also from a distance, and then also give snares as well. Like honestly, she's just really okay, but she's like, she's also very reliant on her skills. No, every one of these characters is reliant on their skills. It's like saying you need water. It's just okay. And of course, Big Mommy up here, she goes straight up to A. She's not going to be S tier because when she gets her VR weapon, she becomes very, very durable and a serious damage dealer. Before that, though, she's still durable and a very solid damage dealer. Because she gets Rondo, gets the AoE clearing power of that, gets the ability to heal herself, and now it does more damage. She can heal for more HP, defend herself better, and it's like Effectively every time you see Rondo happen, that boss is going to lose like a third of its health. Before that, though, you more or less would be seeing like you use Ithaqua or Kakaitis because of like the offensive to defensive capabilities of those. Shisui is for straight up tanking the boss and then pulling out and then taking all the damage from the enemies as well. Since she has such a strong healing when you're playing as her, she doesn't care how much damage she's taking. In fact, she would rather take the damage than give it to someone like Shizuru. And because I have like serious bias problems, Shizuru goes up to S because the S stands for Shizuru. That's the whole reason. Shizuru is like one of the main characters I always use in spiders, because even though she's slow, frail, she's a slow, frail, mixed attacker, I still find insane use out of her because she has the healing field, which lets all of my other melee characters get up there close and heal. She can get the direct set benefit from White Feather Asuka and other red supporters. She can do just about everything I need her to do. She does everything that Sakura does, but just better. Like, mostly I use her for the White Feather setup because her, what is it? It's like Rose something. Rose Rondo, because obviously Rose Rondo is a massively hard-hitting skill, gives defense down, and when you have the specific weapon equipped, it gives attack bonuses to everyone in the vicinity. Whip shot with a main red gives a defense down for 10 seconds. That's a 5-second defense debuff against the enemy, and the cooldown for it is about 5.7 seconds. So it's like, yeah, it's a really, really solid defensive option. I like it a lot. But then, and also, since it's multi-hit attack, I can use it as a multi-hit attack and get the proc off, hopefully, for White Feather. Let's see, and Tokiko will actually get out of the darkness today. She will sit there in B because mostly it's for clairvoyance, the skill, and also clairvoyance, the buff. She can't heal, so you have to account for that. Because it's not surprising to see her go up to like floor 100 and she'll do something insanely crazy. You have to, obviously, you need defensive buffs for sure, because it's like, if you're not taking defensive Magatamas, you're just going to get hurt and like wonder, oh my goodness, Tokiko's really bad. Tokiko is somewhat bad. She's just another high investment situation. But with all that investment you could put in Tokiko, you could put into other characters and still get the same thing. And Yukikaze is just okay at best. Fantastic. That's more or less it. More or less because Yukikaze is, you use the same thing you would do in other situations. You protect her, she can heal. She offers the utility of Raijudan and Raigun, everything like that. Nothing special. Alright. Save that. That way they don't have to do that. Awesome. Alright. Whew. Now that's a lot of talking. I've said all I wanted to say on it, and if you have anything else you guys like to say about it, please leave a comment below or like message me on Twitter about it. I am going to go drink some water, and I got some other shit I need to do. But I mostly wanted to share this with you guys today regarding a tier list on the characters themselves for VR. Obviously, this is not final. It's not going to be permanent in any sort of regard. And if anything, it's more or less for fun. Thank you all for coming today, and I hope to see you all next time. I'll see you later, everybody. Bye-bye.